Dan the Wheelman here, and my very special guests, plural, today at the Summit Motorsports Park in West Virginia are these two beauties, the 2025 Volkswagen Golf R and the 2025 Volkswagen GTI. These have been refreshed for 2025. They are not all new cars, but Volkswagen is calling them Mark 8.5. Well, what does that mean? For the Golf R, it's got a little more power. There's a special new exhaust. It's got a slightly different front end, illuminating emblem here as well, some new colors and some new wheels. On the GTI, you've also got an illuminating emblem, some new wheels, slightly different front end, and some new colors too. And on both of these, there's some new bits and pieces inside as well, including a new seat option. Anyway, all that's great. I just hope they drive like these awesome hatchbacks always have, hopefully a little bit better now that this has a little more power. So, well, let's go find out. So here we are in the Golf R, and a quick note about this car before we go any further. This thing sells like crazy at VW. From 2023 to 2024, over 200% sales increase in Canada of the Golf R. That is an insane number for what is a pretty specialized car. Now, there are a couple of reasons why that is. One is 2024 was the last year you could get a Golf R or a GTI with a stick shift. So there was a lot of buying going on then. And it's also an all-wheel drive vehicle. And in Canada, we love our all-wheel drive. You know, we don't need it. People think they need all-wheel drive more than they really do, but we love all-wheel drive anyway. With the Golf R, you can get all-wheel drive. And of course, the last thing is the Golf R and the GTI were the only way you could get a Golf in Canada for the last few years because they've discontinued the standard Golf here. They just don't have it. So if you wanted a Golf, you wanted that great, hatchback styling, the great driving, handling, all that kind of stuff, and the pedigree that it comes with, you had to either buy a Golf R or a GTI. So a lot of factors were at play. It's kind of like a perfect storm of sales, but still 200%. It's a big jump. I have, under my right foot here, I've got 328, I have nothing under my left foot, we'll get to that in a minute. I've got 328 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. That is 13 more horsepower than used to be available. No mechanical changes have been done to achieve that. It's just been like a computer ECU flash. A big mechanical difference, though, new Akrapovic, fancy exhaust system used by Lamborghinis, Ducati, and all that. Now you can get it as an option. Have a listen. Ooh, that sounds good. You can get it as an option. It comes as part of the black package, only as part of the black package, which is too bad. You can't get it as a standalone option, which I'm pretty sure they'll make available as a standalone one day. But you can't right now. It saves you 7 kilos, which is nice to have. And it's also just awesome sounding, awesome looking too. The black package though can be had with various exterior colors. Doesn't have to only be also black. New in this new Mark 8.5 Golf, which is what they're officially calling it, are these seats. They're called Art Velour, whatever. But what it means is you've got this kind of suede on here mixed with a blue tartan. Pretty cool, nice side bolsters as well. The headrests are neat, they're all kind of integrated, look like racing seats. The only thing is you lose ventilation with these seats. The front seat cooling, you don't have that, which is too bad, and you lose some of the power adjustability as well. Standard on these are some leather seats though, so that's cool too. I've also got new wheels on here, 19-inch, I believe it's pronounced Wormenau or Wormenau, which is where Volkswagen's design center is located, just outside of their HQ of Wolfsburg, Germany. So really cool looking 19-inch wheels that are also lighter, reducing unsprung weight. And as we know, a few kilograms saved in unsprung weight equals many more kilograms in all other kinds of weights. That's just the way physics works. So that's nice to have, lighter feel, which is good because, as you probably know, the Golf R only comes with all-wheel drive. So a little more weight added because of that. All-wheel drive only, but it does have torque vectoring. You can get up to 50% of your power sent to the rear axle, and of that 50% of power, 100% of it can actually be sent to either wheel to swing you through corners or to help scrub off understeer, all that kind of stuff, let you really rotate through. And if you want to have even more fun with rotation, there's a drift mode, which is, I've got great. Sport, I've got race, I've got comfort, I've got Mars, I've got the moon. Oh, even better, I've got Nürburgring, which isn't actually called Nürburgring, it's called Special, but there's a picture of the Nürburgring logo on there. So that's pretty neat stuff. And they all, of course, play with the throttle mapping, the steering, all that kind of stuff. They also, some will give you a Sport Plus transmission mode. If you select Special mode, now you've got an S Plus and nice loud exhaust, all that kind of stuff. Lots to choose from. Now, of course, most people are gonna have the 2 or 3 they use most of the time throughout ownership, but it's still nice to have the choice. It's pretty cool to have a Nürburgring mode, let's be honest. And there's a custom mode too if you want. So lots of customization there. Doesn't do much for anything else. It doesn't change the gauge cluster colors as far as I can tell. Doesn't do anything like that, but it does change the stuff, I guess, that matters when it comes to driving. Transmission speed, throttle response, steering weight, all that kind of stuff is all played with by playing with those drive modes. As we go through these roads here, man, this is fun. We are in the state of Virginia. We actually might be in West Virginia by now. Around here, you're in a new state every 5 minutes, it seems like. And it is real nice through these nice sweeping corners through here. You can really kind of bang it into the curve, put a little throttle on, let the power do its thing and swing you through there. Really, really nice. Nice sticky rubber as well. I've got performance rubber on here, which is always nice to have. Just gives you that much more response and that much more road feel as well. Pretty good feel through the wheel. Steering is, there's a little bit of an off-center dead zone, but it really isn't too bad. You know that you're going to get that response from the front end when you twist the wheel of this thing. Just how it is when it comes to the Golf R and the GTI. They've always had pretty good, pretty responsive steering. These are not big cars. They're very darty, which when it comes to hot hatchbacks, that's kind of what you want. Right, I say there's nothing under my left foot here. Well, that's for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not left foot braking because I'm not on a rally or autocross course, so there's no need for that. And two, there's no clutch here. You can't get a clutch anymore in a Golf R or GTI. 2024 was the last year you could do that. It's gone. All you get now is a 7-speed dual clutch auto. I was surprised. I've talked to VW about this. They said, listen, believe it or not, North Americans are really the only ones that are buying, or were buying these cars with, in big percentages, with manuals. Europeans don't do it. The roads are more congested there. There's smaller roads. There's more strict CO2 requirements, all that kind of stuff. All stuff that automatics are better at dealing with. So no more manuals. Even though manuals are lighter, they're cheaper to produce. Nope, it's all autos now. And that's crazy. But then if you think back to the E60 M5, for example, the V10 one, or the M6, of the era, they made a manual, but it was only available in North America. And that's, I guess, because North Americans buy more cars, for starters, especially in the US, and there's just more people looking for manuals there. So no more manual transmission, unfortunately. I believe there might be still some GTI and Golf Rs with manuals on lots in Canada, but probably not for much longer. So I'm in the 2025 GTI now. No mechanical changes. You don't have extra power like you do in the Golf R. Still 241 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. Pretty good. No manual here. Once again, I'm going to keep saying that. No manual here. Just the auto. The paddles aren't quite as defined or big in this one as they are in the Golf R, which is a more committed performance vehicle, that Golf R. The GTI is an interesting one because it's now the least expensive Golf you can get in North America. They don't do any other kinds of Golf here, so GTI is kind of where it starts. So you see how the Golf R is definitely the more committed one. Take a look at the drive modes, for example. In the Golf R, for example, you can have it so it never upshifts for you in manual mode. This one here, you can never lock that out. It's always going to upshift for you and not let you downshift if it doesn't think you should. So it doesn't do that. There's less drive modes here to choose from. I do have the optional adaptive dampers on here, though, which is nice to have. Gives you a little more performance kind of oomph. I've still got a sport mode, which is what I'm in now, actually, because it's, you know, it's a fun one, a fun winding road here. And why not select the most, you know, aggressive of drive modes? So sport mode it is, which is still nice, still got a good sound. You can't get the cool exhaust, unfortunately, on this one. Like we said before, when we were talking about the Golf R, how you can only get the new I'm never gonna get that right. You can only get that if you get the black package. There is no black package with the GTI. You cannot get that exhaust at all. I feel like eventually you're going to be able to order that as a standalone option, and maybe for the GTI as well. Not that the GTI sounds bad. We want to have a listen. Still got that nice brrr to it. A little bit of an off-pace burble, like a old five-cylinder Audi might have. So it still sounds like a lot of fun. And it still drives like a ton of fun. I was able to take both of these on track, and I started the GTI on the track, and it felt grand out there. Great turn in, very little body roll. You can even give it a little bit of a drift if you want, if you really want to start to kind of Scandi flick it into turns. You can do all that with the GTI. It's so well suited for all of that. This is such a fantastic car, this one. I know people that have driven and owned much more expensive cars than this, and they still have one of these because they love it, because it just answers so many questions so well. You get the practicality, you get the performance, and now with these new looks, the new wheels and everything, you get some really cool styling as well. I've also got new seat options in here too, which are very nice to have. Got the honeycomb in here. You've got all that kind of stuff to really feel like you're in something special with this one, as if the way it performs, which is really quite well, isn't enough. You really get the feeling by looking at it that it's cool. You don't have the cool carbon fiber that you have in the Golf R. You have a kind of a faux carbon fiber in here, and that's okay. The steering wheel still has some contrast colors on it, on the stitching down here on the spokes, and it's still fun in here. Harman Kardon audio. So a car like this, which is more suited daily, not better suited than the Golf R for daily driving, but perfectly capable of that, and better fuel economy as well, has all these niceties to make that better. What these both have, what we didn't discuss before, is an all-new infotainment system here, much bigger than it used to be. It measures something around 12.7, 12.9 inches here, much bigger than it used to be, much more responsive, much more intuitive. For the drive modes, you could select it by hitting this button down here. On the Golf R, there's actually a button on the steering wheel spoke that will actually take you directly from whatever mode you're in to race mode. Don't have that here, but you select it here, and then you can hit the button a couple times to select the mode, or go to this very responsive display to do it instead. So much more practical than it used to be. That was a big kind of slight against it. The heater controls are haptic. They are touch sensitive, but they're now now they light up. They didn't used to do that before. Now they do, so they're much more easier, of course, to use at night. So they've obviously done a lot of nipping and tucking for 2025. And of course, what's good about a hatchback, both of these hatchbacks, is the practicality. Pretty good storage in the back. They both have manual trunks, no auto trunks, which I don't mind. I like a manual trunk. Back seat space is good. The legroom isn't spectacular, but the headroom is good back there. That's what you get with a shape like this. And so really, really good. Of course, if you want more cargo space, they do have a Golf R wagon in Europe. Wouldn't it be awesome if we saw that here? Although talking to Volkswagen, it's tough to get. Tougher than you think to get what you think is a small change through the various red tape in North America. So I don't know, but that would be cool. That would be a great mix. But still, this is a great combination of comfort, performance, and of course, usability and practicality, which is what the beauty of the Golf is and always has. Not an all-new Golf GTI, or it's not an all-new Golf R either, so it's a lot of nipping and tucking, but what they've done has really just refined and refined and refined. If we're honest, that's what they've been doing with the Golf for 8.5 generations, just refining and refining and refining. I was lucky enough to get a chance to drive a classic Mark II Golf on this drive, and that was a pretty raw vehicle, but it still felt great, still handled well, felt very light. Steering's obviously a little heavier on an older car like that. It's a it's a hydraulic power assist system instead of an e-pass like I have here. But when you get back into this, it's not like this feels totally alien to that old classic. The way it steers, the way it drives, the handling, all that kind of stuff. The acceleration, of course, is way more on this than that old Golf, which makes, I don't even know if it cracks 100 horsepower on that one. So, and I don't have the stick shift here like I used to in that one, which is still too bad. But the way it does all that really helps you feel like you're in a car that's been developed over generations and developed well. For both of these, which one would I have? I don't know. I mean, I like the GTI. I don't really need to have all-wheel drive. A lot of people feel like they need to, as I said before. I don't feel like I need to. I love how light and tossable this GTI front-wheel drive feels. What I really do like about the Golf R, though, is that exhaust. If they were to make this car with that exhaust option, which I'm sure you can do on the aftermarket if you wanted to, it's probably the one I'd have, honestly. Golf R is fun, but almost a little too performance committed, I think, for a daily driver for me. Plenty of people, as we talked about before, many thousands of people are buying those. So, you know, regardless of what I say, but for me, I'd probably go GTI. I think I'd go GTI. It's a tough call though. But anyway, thanks again for tuning in to these quick looks at the 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI and the Volkswagen Golf R. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings, of course. You can follow me on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman, on Blue Sky at Dan the Wheelman, and if you must, on Twitter/X at Dan the Wheelman as well. I'm not there very often, so whatever. Anyway, and of course, keep it locked to the Dan the Wheelman YouTube channel too. All sorts of new stuff going up, some really fun stuff coming as well. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you guys soon. Sayonara, folks. This is Dan the Wheelman signing off from Virginia.